Picasso's freestyle. Let's do it. Hey. Eat a couple wings with a couple kings. They're my favorite things. Hey, hey. That's all I got. I'm not a good freestyle rapper.
Wait, hold on. Let me think for a second.
Hey.
Folks, we don't need the Twitter feed. Welcome back. It is your Sidebay's favorite blogcast. It is What's TrainWreck Watching. You know, if it's Wednesday, it's What's TrainWreck Watching. And you know, we've been watching What If, the ultimate show for watchers. And if you're planning to watch anything this weekend, make sure you order Picasso's Pizza at picassospizza.net. But without further ado, let's get our all-pro cast in here. Let's get Casali. Let's get Micah, man. Gents, another episode of Marvel's What If, and I think probably 5 for 5 now. Another week where we leave feeling satisfied in a variety of different ways.
Absolutely. I mean, this is, I would even say possibly in contention of my favorite thus far. I just had so much fun with this episode. And I mean, as you said, Maniac, What If has just been knocking it out of the park every week. To quote TrainWreck Sports, this train never stops with Marvel. So I am just so excited to be talking about this episode with you guys tonight.
Yeah, this was a fun one. Like you said, all 5 have been great. They've been enjoyable in their own ways. But I was a little skeptical coming in. You never like zombies. You never know. Like I feel like they're pretty solid, but especially when it comes to superhero zombies, it's like I don't know, just a little skeptical. But it outshined my expectations by a lot. And I think I've talked about it, and I'll get into it later as we're talking about it. But the more Hope Van Dyne we get in the Marvel Universe, I'm okay with. And there was a lot in this episode to like when it came to that. So all good things, all good things.
And we'll start with that. The What If episode follows along as zombies invade the Marvel Universe. And how does it happen? Well, just throw the word quantum in front of everything, and you've got the solution. So they go to the quantum realm. Turns out there's a virus there. They bring it back. Hope Van Dyne actually escapes, but Scott, seemingly infected, seemingly left for no good. And yeah, a couple other Avengers survive, and we're off to the races immediately. And it turns out, I think we saw a clip where the Avengers were battling on a bridge, and they ultimately got. And as we're told by the Watcher, a.k.a. America's favorite creeper, that was what ultimately flipped the tide and basically let the zombies take over the entire Earth, Midgard.
Yeah, start out as well as how all these episodes have taken us within the movie world to see what we're familiar with on screen and take it to a different direction. This one started out, it was the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp and pretty much the beginning of Avengers Infinity War, which I thought was a very unique twist to that movie, because that movie in itself is such a deception, but to bring zombies into it, if anything, was crazy. But yeah, it was just so nice to see, again, how they can twist and turn different storytelling. They already have so much great stories within those 2 films to put it to a twist and actually challenge the audience to bring us something different is what I just love about the show. The show, like I said before, has just been knocking it out of the park. But with those 2 movies, as far as Ant-Man and the Wasp, when they go into the quantum realm, as you said, Maniac, they noticed something different that happened with Janet Van Dyne. She wasn't just stuck in there, but she actually apparently got some sort of virus that no one knows about, and they took her out, and she just went completely wild and started infecting everybody around. It was literally The Walking Dead come to life. And yeah, that's pretty much where we saw. And then once this episode started off, it was Hulk coming down to the Earth, like the beginning of Infinity War. But instead of them fearing Thanos, they were fearing something darker, which was very enjoyable.
You twisted motherfucker there, Casali. He's like, it was very enjoyable.
Casali is a sick fuck. He wants to see this MCU get twisted, turned, and thrown in a blender, Micah.
And I love zombies too.
I love it. I just want to know what if writer has it out for Hank Pym, because my God, this poor guy.
That's 2 for 2 right there.
Like 2 for 2. Like, yeah. I mean, listen, it's not like Hank is the most endearing character.
Well, that's what I was saying.
movies.
Because let's go into this a bit, because obviously these adaptations, for the most part, a lot of them are pretty accurate. But I was reading some reviews after the Doctor Strange episode, and a lot of people were remarking, well, this is an interesting take, because in the comics, Pym is a little bit less likable for the most part, even more so than in the movies when you see him get a little testy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not a great guy. That's the simplest terms to put it. I mean, you can go look up the lore and everything. Not a great guy. So it's interesting. So and they've never really. I mean, he's been an ornery old man the whole time. So it's interesting to see like the quick little turns, and in both of these episodes, it really has been. I mean, something that was just split second. That just kind of. I mean, this was kind of more out of his control, I guess, than hunting down every single Avenger himself. But still,
we've definitely been desensitized, though, because he was messing around in the quantum realm. When you mess around in the quantum realm, anything can happen. And you don't need to be Casali to know that.
And they told us that. And I mean, they told us that in all those movies. They said, don't go don't try it, all that shit. And what does he do? He does it again. So, yeah, someone's got it out for Hank Pym, but maybe he deserves it.
Yeah, no, we are definitely going to have to look on that writing staff and see what's up. But obviously, we thrust this episode, and we see So I kind of missed a little bit there because I got caught up in the Spider-Man guide to how to survive during a zombie apocalypse. But did they have an advantage being like smaller creatures or like bug based or whatever? Because the Wasp, Spider-Man, was that an advantage mentioned at all? I didn't hear so.
I don't think so. I mean, I do love what you just mentioned, the whole Spider-Man how to fight off a zombie, because
hysterical.
I mean, that's how Spider-Man has been throughout this whole series. Why I love watching him within the films, because he's such a geek and a nerd. So every time he throws a Star Wars reference or an Aliens reference, and then in this case zombies, of course, he's the know-it-all here. So I mean, but honestly, as far as the comic side, I could definitely put in some input within the horror world, because I am a huge horror nerd. And I mean, throughout history, throughout different sorts of media, zombies have always been sort of portrayed a little bit differently, if not for the most part. I mean, you have some, difference within whether you go Resident Evil wise or like all the way.
Those are my zombies. So since we're going to get into it, because it is part of that, we'll go favorite zombie. That's mine, Resident Evil. I like it. There's a gradual uptick within the zombie culture. You got your zombie dogs. Everyone knows what's kind of going on. There aren't flip-flopping zombies where you got some sprinting, you got some walking. They're all the same. So the Resident Evil are mine, but keep going. Okay.
I mean, yeah, I'm all, like, as far as the newer stuff, I haven't been really catching up, but the old school Walking Dead, I just live and breathe. So I always love those. But I mean, I'm a huge Romero guy, so like everything from Night of the Living Dead to all the stuff that he did, you name it. I mean, it's just, I always like something different too, so that was kind of cool with this episode. I mean, let's face it, George Romero, the late great George Romero, he pretty much came up with the whole idea of what would become The Walking Dead. I mean, he came up with the zombie and the idea of it that Spider-Man was going into in this episode, how to stop it, what happens when you get bit and all that stuff. And you know what? I think one of the cool things about this episode I really loved is because it also, not only it showcased, what would happen if The Walking Dead sprung up in the MCU, but what would it do if it infected the heroes we know and love? I mean, to see them still hold their powers. And I mean, I think that's more frightening than anything, that the dead can not only inherit the world, but now they have some superheroes under their control, which I thought was pretty unique. And I mean, even, they were kind of, I guess, a little bit different zombified. They were probably a lot more rage sense as in Resident Evil that you were mentioning, Maniac. So I thought that was really cool. I mean, anything zombie, anything horror, I'll always eat up, but that was kind of cool. Like in me, that I'm like, oh, zombies, like, come on. Like, so, I definitely enjoyed that part, for sure.
These writers are twisted as hell with these Marvel series, because obviously you got Bucky having to face off against Zombie Cap. I mean, what was more messed up?
Messed up.
Bucky facing off against Zombie Cap, or when that one guy in Falcon and Winter Soldier said he grew up loving Captain America, and then like 20 minutes later, Captain America killed him?
I forgot all about that.
Bro, remember that was crazy. He's like, I always grew up like being like a hero, and then literally 20 minutes later, he's breaking the shield down
Bashing
on
his
him.
head in. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
No, so it's just like you said, just like there's kind of a writer who clearly has something going on with him. So there's another writer who just wants to twist our insides regarding these Captain America situations. Because,
well, not even that. I think what even got worse was later in the episode with the whole WandaVision side. I thought that was kind of just very heartbreaking.
Before we get to that heartbreaking, I want to talk about the humor in the episode. That H I want to focus on because the Vision Scarlet Witch is kind of in the second half of the episode.
No,
there.
yeah.
My goodness. Between Spider-Man with all the movie references on Alpha, between Paul Rudd with his head in the jar like President Nixon in Futurama, and then, I mean, Sleeper, happy beyond hysterical in this episode. Blam, blam, blam. He's making the noises when he's fighting. And then
that was great.
His shirt, I'm not single, I'm saving myself for Thor. Amazing.
I mean, come on, we gotta love some Jon Favreau. Yeah, that was just so much. I mean, it's always good to see Paul Rudd as Ant-Man. Paul Rudd is just, he's an angel, so it's always good to see him mess around. And yeah, I mean, of course, everything that they do with Spider-Man. I mean, what they're doing with Spider-Man right now within the MCU, I think has just been such a sight to see. And I mean, me personally, I've loved everything. I know the Russos haven't really touched this show, but everything that the Russos have done with Spider-Man within Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame has just been so nice because, I mean, it's just, it's just so fun. Again, like I said before, having him geek out. And yeah, like it was just, but I think that's what's nice and what was kind of, also a sigh of relief from last week's episode, because last week's was really dark and moody and gloomy and doomy. So at least you had the zombies and all that stuff, but it was also kind of just having, there was a lighter side too, the light side and the dark that just is really, really like complete storytelling, because at the end of the day too, zombies are all over the place. Kind of like what we were talking about before. I mean, it has changed the landscape from how it was when it started back in the late 70s with Night of the Living Dead, late 60s. So, it's good to have the light and the dark and all these stuff. I mean, even Kurt coming back, Dave DeSmalchin showing up with some humor that he had was so fun, because I love him in the his takes in the Ant-Man film. So
I was low-key wondering how he worked his way into this super group. He's not bringing too much to the table, was he? Big time finesse. What the hell? That is an advantage to being funny. No matter what, if you're funny, if you can provide comic relief, you give yourself a shot to be in any situation.
It's true. You need someone to keep the mood light, I think that's why letting Spidey cook, like you said, Casale, is kind of just the MCU's the way they're rolling with it right now, and it works every time. He needs to be. We saw it a little bit in Civil War with the Spider-Man character, where they let him clearly this dude's got crazy abilities, obviously is valuable to their team, but no one wants to take him seriously, and that's what they need to lead into. We didn't get to see it as much in Avengers movies, just because obviously shit was a little too serious for Spidey to be here cracking jokes. But I'm hoping that that's what we start to explore with Spidey, and that maybe that this was just a little tidbit. We need the ridiculousness of Peter Parker alongside these super serious heroes more often. It'll be a treat for everybody.
Listen, I'm inclined to agree with you both. Micah, I might have to stick you on there a little bit. I mean, come on, when they save Doctor Strange, he's dropping some jokes, some
That's true.
Pop culture references there. But I agree. When it does get to Thanos' planet, like it is last year's, there's not a lot of room for humor when you're avenging, unless you're Tony Stark or Star-Lord, basically. Or it's dry humor from Vision or Doctor Strange. But yeah, so we're rocking and rolling. And like you guys alluded to, more Hope Van Dyne, the better. She plays a crucial role in helping them escape on the train. The train runs out of fuel, something that doesn't happen on this platform. But how did you think of this sequence, and what did you think of Hope going full Scotty? I guess I call it that just because we've seen him do it before. That's the only reason.
Yeah, I mean, it's always great to see Hope. Hope Hope is she's a great character, and it's always good to see her shine as the Wasp too, because I mean, from what we've seen from her, at least in the movie world, her whole pretty much struggle with her father within the very first Ant-Man film was she was like, why are you relying so much on Scott, on Paul Rudd, on Scott Lang? Why can't I be the hero that you want? Why is it always him? And obviously we learned, through Ant-Man and the Wasp, the reason why is because, what happened to her mother and all that. And he was holding so much pain and guilt over that. But then we saw her shine in Ant-Man and the Wasp. So, and even having her pop up within, an Endgame and all that stuff. So it's always cool to see her shine and everything. And I mean, everything that she was doing within this episode was cool. The relationship that her and Spider-Man had within the episode was pretty sweet too. Like, Spider-Man was just getting all oogly over her at points and stuff. But, and everything was great, all up until once she got scratched. And then I was a little iffy, like, okay, like, you're scratched. Why are you going to make yourself still be big? Like, I mean, like, I get it. Like, she was, she got out, which was fantastic, by the way, a very heroic move that she got out.
You didn't want to see that heroism. You didn't want to see it. Have you ever heard about going out with a bang, Casale? Come on.
Yeah, but you're bit and you're going down. Why don't you shrink yourself up a little bit? Because if you're going to turn into a zombie, you're going to be that big, and then it's just going to backfire on the heroes. So I was a little, hesitant about that. But, I mean, again, it was great storytelling, and it was cool to have them fight off, the big one. I mean, and we also, not to mention, too, I mean, what happened with the Hulk, because obviously we knew in Infinity War, Hulk and Banner was having a little bit struggle. He didn't want to come out because he literally just fought Thanos on the ship. So when he comes to Earth, he's having that problem. So, I mean, I think that was kind of cool that we got to see the big, Hulk come out and fight, So maybe that's why she still had to stay big to have a worthy contender. But, I mean, again, it's still always great to see Hope.
We're talking about the room for humor in these Avengers movies. Basically, the only way Mark Ruffalo got to be funny was acting like he had erectile dysfunction when he couldn't activate the Hulk. And basically, when he did the one good line, broke up like what, the Beatles? That was great. But yeah, so we roll on. So they make it to the base, and now we get to, like, you want to talk about a horror movie. The zombies weren't really too scary. Captain America was a little, it was a little frightening to see. But you get to this base, this supposed sanctum where you can, reach safety and kind of bunker down. And it's being activated by Vision and the Mind Stone. The Mind Stone has a frequency that deactivates the zombies. But Casale, it's like a bad trip to Fantasy Island going to Vision Quest here.
Oh yeah, because I mean, everybody's trying to get to the camp. I forget the camp's name, but it was the camp that was featured in Winter Soldier and whatnot. They were trying to get to the camp to get to the frequency in New Jersey. We had a great line by Jon Favreau where he was not too excited to go to Jersey, but
Camp Lehigh.
There we go. So, once they got there, they were excited to, at least get to somewhere safe because, as all good zombie films and media, the group, they always want to get somewhere safe, get to like a little safe point. So, and then to find Vision pretty much creating a little place, like a trap for people to just come in to feed what we see is a zombie Wanda is just pretty insane because, I mean, as far as love stories go, I mean, again, like what we saw last week where it was just so heartbreaking between, Doctor Strange and Christine Palmer to see, I mean, we all know what Vision and Wanda have been through ever since they got to meet each other in Avengers Age of Ultron. So the fact that he was pretty much harnessing this beacon where he would just take people in where they're thinking they're coming in for safety just to be fed to Wanda because he literally has no idea what to do and he doesn't have the strength to defeat her and kill her. As what we saw in Infinity War, Wanda, she couldn't blow up the Mind Stone in order to save the day, so Thanos couldn't get the stone. So it was cool to have a little role reversal because obviously too, Vision wasn't in danger anymore because Thanos never made it. The Black Order they got wiped out in the very beginning of the episode by the zombies. So, it was just kind of it was kind of sweet to see a little role reversal there, and to see that, that Vision, he didn't care what he was doing. I mean, he did. He knew, deep down inside, he had that, he knows what's right and what's wrong, but he just, he just loves Wanda that much and feels her. So it was kind of sweet again to see the other side of what Wanda was going through within Infinity War.
Wanda, I think they've done a really good job of just making Wanda seem super important. And that was another part of this episode that I think just kind of underrated, is that like
Black Widow is going over big time in this content that we're seeing in these Marvel series.
Yeah, that's very true. But I like the focus on the characters that we haven't, that we know are in, as a Marvel just fan in general, we know that have more potential to be used in different ways, and we've kind of seen them get explored a little bit more. And I think Wanda throughout, I mean, with WandaVision obviously, but in this episode, and just showing like how terrified everybody was when they realized that she was the person that was like in there and had that power and was in that kind of mode. Like it's just cool to see them kind of explore that and go forward, especially knowing how big of a part she's going to be in whatever is coming up next in this phase.
Seriously. And then all of a sudden it's Hulk versus Scarlet Witch, and we got all kinds of fallout leading everyone to be super depressed. Felt like I was watching Age of Ultron. But Caselli, so wrap this one up for me. Eventually the group escapes Visionville, or whatever you want to call it, Vision Penitentiary. And yeah, Peter Parker realizes he's kind of the new class of Avenger.
Well, yeah, I mean, we also didn't get to the point where one of the people that he sacrificed, because one of the Avengers, at least the part of the group that we saw in the beginning of the episode, Okoye was there because she got stranded and separated from T'Challa. Which is when the spread started to occur and everybody went to a certain spot to just try and see what was going on. So one of the people that he started offering to Zombie Wanda was T'Challa himself, Black Panther. So it was it was great to see Chadwick, his voice featured within the series again, to hear him play this beloved character. And he was missing a leg. His leg was gone. So it was just like, that was just, the power of the devastation of what was actually truly occurring. But the fact that they were able to defeat, the Horde and get away safely was cool. I mean, it also kind of showcased, kind of like what we got at the end of Endgame and Far From Home and whatnot, to showcase, like, what we know you love the main guys and all that stuff, but these other characters, like, they're gonna bleed out and really show focus, and to see Spider-Man hold some true passion to really know what he's doing and believe in himself, is really a sight to see.
Yeah, it was the ending of this was just dope to see. Like, I don't know, just to see that, just to see a different group come together. Like, I mean, Paul Rudd really just, honestly, that's all I wanted to see. I just want to see more head of Paul Rudd, head of Ant-Man and the little cape. I mean, give me that as an animated show. I'll go with all of that. Like, that
a sweet Harry Potter reference too. Wingardium Leviosa.
Nah,
it was amazing.
You put it perfectly, Casali. I mean, it was just a fun episode. It was cool to see the different characters kind of come together as the Avengers. Cool to see. I mean, just the zombies are, you can't go wrong with zombies. No. I was proven right, or proven wrong, I should say. I was skeptical, and I will never doubt zombies again.
Hey, that's big on you to take that accountability. We take accountability here at What's TrainWreck WaTching. Now, you've both seen, again, another great episode of What If in the books. You've both seen Shang-Chi.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and pretty good reviews, right, from both of you, without getting too deep in?
Without getting too deep in, I was very, very, very pleased. This was just not only a great Marvel movie, but a great movie in general. I just had such a fun time with it. And there's so much stuff, so much surprises that not only if you grew up loving, the MCU and all the movies, but, and the history of what happened before. But, I mean, Shang-Chi, he is definitely here to stay. He is a great character. Simeon Liu played a perfect a new addition to the MCU, and all the characters, it was a fantastic film.
Yeah, I think I texted one of my buddies the other day. We were talking about it, and I said like 8.2, 8.3 out of 10, something like that. It was just solid all the way through. Definitely one of the best. Besides, if you take out Avengers and we're just talking character movies, easily one of the best introductions they've done to a character. One of the best character movies they did
in a long time. Absolutely,
one of the best villains they've done. I mean, they're really hitting the stride with villains lately. The last couple years, but this was a great one. A character that I feel like they showed his worth, right? Like he's a super powerful character. He's been getting more attention recently, but he's also an original like Stan Lee creation. He's from the 60s. Like he's been around for a minute, had a couple of different iterations. Marvel Comics has put more of a focus on him recently, and he's going to be a huge part of this upcoming phase, and well deserved. And it's a great movie, really enjoyable the whole way through.
Well, I am going to go see it right now, so we will check that out, and we'll see if we got anything for you on that front. But that is all, folks, and don't call me Elmer Fudd. A huge shout-out to Casali Files, a huge shout-out to Micah Man for joining us here on What's TrainWreck Watching. Make sure you're tuning in Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple, MySpace Music, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Follow it all. Train Never Stops. And here at What's TrainWreck Watching, it's all about next week's episode.
Hey, you big dumb idiot. Looks like you got yourself a saucy hand.
Yeah, I do.
Try yourself a Picasso boneless wing. Maybe next.
Well,